So now we're going to talk about how Gemini becomes Cancer, the sign of Cancer. So here we go. Now, the child's development reaches a point where those familiar things begin to convey a different type of sensorial experience, one of a feeling of security, which stems from deep familiarity with an environment. This feeling is built up gradually from the repeatability of same stimuli recognition, because this becomes a measure of the stability coming from the immediate environment. The immediate environment suggests to the child that it is in a safe environment because it recognizes familiarity within that environment and has come to associate it with the meeting of its needs, including the need for comfort. It is familiarity that does this. This deep familiarity is what we associate with the sign of Cancer. Cancer is that familiar environment that delivers something that is truly comforting to the child. It delivers the feeling of safety. As the child has started relating with things in its environment, it knows that it is a separate being. It also knows that it is not in control of things which happen in its environment like it once thought. The developing child has come to understand the idea of separateness. However, this feeling of separateness leads to an uneasy feeling of fear because separateness for a vulnerable and helpless baby is terrifying, and this trepidation is fundamentally disempowering. It is this feeling of disempowerment which then forces the child to begin to weight the frequency of stimuli which originate from within its environment and the frequency of what comes to be known as mother. This frequency is then associated with sustenance, nurturing, and most importantly, safety. Mother is thus associated with a peak experience of everything the child prefers, and so a dependency condition is established. However, this dependency condition is fraught with its own fears. What if mother rejects me? What if mother disappears or abandons me? These are real and terrible fears to the infant, so the child begins to compensate by learning to demonstrably show its preference for mother through smiles and other endearing gestures. It soon learns that mother responds with an even greater degree of affection when it does this. This process forms the beginning of the protective transactional bond that is typical of the sign of Cancer. So, we can see that there is a type of exchange mechanism taking place as the sign of Cancer, and that is the exchange of love for safety. But it could be exchange of anything really for safety. Safety is the end goal of the transactional dynamic in this case. The trade-off really epitomizes the security concerns deep within the human psyche, such that when the developing child notices that mother has somehow disappeared from its space of awareness, it panics. In the reality of today's modern living, parental roles are not so clear-cut as they once were, so the imprint is now attached to the primary caregiver. Something else begins to occur as this dynamic bond between developing child and primary caregiver deepens. At its peak, this bond translates into a deep feeling of self-acceptance within the child, and this self-acceptance is transmitted from the primary caregiver to the child. The child intuits that it must be worthy of acceptance, hence why it is accepted. If the feeling of acceptance is total, then the child accepts this totality and a total acceptance of itself occurs. This total acceptance of itself can be envisaged as a permanent conveyor belt running from the world of material sensation, that is, its Taurian self, deep into its safety concerns, which form the seat of its conviction and total acceptance of self. This is the most crucial stage and milestone in the life of the developing human mind. The reason for this cruciality is that it is this functioning conveyor belt that becomes the engine upon which all of the child's reality system will be built. This is the conveyor belt which will carry desire from deep within the child to outside the child as a projected reality.